What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Dolphins Daily, your daily dose of Dolphins content. And we are here for episode 100. I can't tell you how happy and grateful I am that y'all have been rocking with me this whole time. Wouldn't be here without you. Could have stopped 40 episodes ago, but people kept supporting, kept watching, kept liking, subscribing. So we're here for you, episode 100. Looking forward to being here all the way episode 200 and 2000 and to the great beyond, or whatever number that looks like. We'll see how it goes. But thank y'all for supporting the whole time. My name is Chris Kane. Let's get to the show. So we're going to start with something that, admittedly, I don't love, but it's newsworthy. So here we go. They've already started doing 2026 projection drafts. Absolutely ridiculous. We haven't even started this season to even know what next season is. But we need content. And so here we are. And not just me, the greater public. So they have the Dolphins in 2026 in the first round drafting a cornerback because they think cornerbacks are our biggest area of need. Specifically, Jamar McCoy. He is a cornerback at Tennessee. He was second team All-American last year. He had 4 picks. Prototypical size. Probably needs a little bit more weight, honestly, but pretty physical, good in the route combination. Again, good at getting picks. Here's the thing. This reason I don't like this is for a number of reasons. One, they had this projected as a middle teen pick, so between like 13 and 15, which means that they're assuming the Dolphins will be 8 and 9, 9 and 8 next year. So they're assuming we'll be basically the exact same team we were this year. Okay. Second of all, they're assuming that he's going to be good, Jamad is going to be good at the same level for next year. We just saw with Ollie Gordon, one of our draft picks, go from here to there in one season. So the idea that, yeah, this kid will just keep getting good and be worthy of a first round pick. We thought Will Johnson might be a top 7 pick. He went in the second round. So that's also ridiculous. Also, we don't know how this current draft class / free agency is going to pan out for the team. We don't know if we're going to get a diamond in the rough that emerges, foreshadowing, or if somebody who we kind of like, Cam Smith, balls out and we say, hey, maybe we kind of have a corner and he's under contract for a couple more years. Like, we don't know what's going to happen. So to just put this out, this is more like, what if LeBron gets traded to Dallas? Why would he do that? His whole industry is in LA. I get it. He played with those both. Like, it's one of those things that is good talking points. People start talking about. They have Arch Manning going number 1. I'm saying this right here on episode 100. Arch Manning will not be going pro next year. That's what I'm saying. That's not reporting. This is just the way the Mannings move. I don't believe 1 year will be enough for him to think I'm NFL ready. He has all the money in the world. He needs probably more than 1 season. I do not believe he's going pro. But yet, on every draft board, he's number 1 pick next year. That's why I think this is dumb. But we had to talk about it anyway. And if it turns out a year from now we do draft Jamad, then we got to write a year early. And I'll take it. But I don't believe it's going to go that way. I think we may have something at corner. But even more than that, I don't think we're going to be drafting 13, 14, 15 because I think we're going to end up with 10 or 11 wins. So we'll be more to the back of the teens, maybe into the early 20s. That's my prediction. Now, one of the cornerbacks that may emerge is B.J. Adams. Now, again, yeah, I try to tell y'all when I'm biased or when I could lean biased. I'm a UCF alum. B.J. Adams went to UCF, so obviously I was wishing for this because that's beautiful. Went to my school, back to my team. That's like, let's keep it all in the family, right? The whole thing about B.J. Adams is that he has ideal height, but not ideal weight, right? So he's tall and lanky, for lack of a better term. But he's really good in man-to-man coverage. He's just not, like, explosive. And explosive meaning, like, the way you get out of breaks, the way you, like, break on the ball. He's really, if I'm right next to you and we're right at it, I'm right with you. But on tape, he's really good. At the pro days and at the combine, he did not test well. All of his tests were near the bottom, which is why he was projected to be like a 5th, 6th round pick and then ended up going undrafted. Because testing, right? We've talked about this whole draft process. People will look good on tape, test poorly, they'll drop. People will look bad on tape, test well, get drafted high. This is a situation where people thought, yeah, good height. I don't know. I kind of want my athletes to be a little bit more like, that's kind of what happened to him, right? And we did bring him in for a pre-draft visit, so we did think maybe possibly there was something there. And the fact that we ended up getting him means that we saw enough there that we liked. But then we also had 9 picks and didn't draft him. So you got to take that with a grain of salt. There was an analyst there at Senior Day when BJ was really trying to showcase his skill set. His name is Destin Adams. And this is what he said at Senior Day. So this is long before the draft. He said, UCS BJ Adams was one of the stars of the 101s from day 3. And even more interesting was how hyped up he got after every rep he won. He simply had to let the wide receiver know every time they lost. Adams showed off his overall speed and physicality. He proved that his press man coverage skills on tape at UCF are the truth. I wouldn't be shocked at all if we saw him rise into day 2 of the draft for teams looking for that style of corner, especially with his 6'3" size. So based on his analysis being there, again, he said day 2. Day 2 is second, third round type talent, right? Worst case, fourth, fifth round. The fact that he fell undrafted means that, I don't know. I think teams have really kind of bought into this. I want to see you just like explode on the field and be super fast and twitchy all the time. I don't think Darrelle Revis was the most twitchy cornerback in the world, but Darrelle Revis was amazing with his hands, great positioning, very physical, awesome ball skills, and was the best corner for a number of years. We don't need every corner to be some 4'1", 40 freak athlete that has a 50-inch vertical leap. I don't think that is the best way to play corner, especially nowadays with these motion routes and 4 receiver sets and all that kind of stuff. It's a lot going on. The idea that you mano-a-mano with a receiver and you win more often than not, that is a transferable skill, because if you can guard 1-on-1, that changes how you play defense, right? If you look at how the Jets defense has been from Rex Ryan up until a couple years ago, they got Sauce and I think DJ Reed, if I'm not mistaken. 2 really good corners. Y'all do y'all job. We're going to send the dogs at the quarterback. When you have cornerbacks, it changes everything you can do. You can bring a safety down the box, send another guy off the edge. You can get cute in the back end. When you can't cover 1-on-1, you have to play zone. When you have to play zone, there's holes everywhere. We've all seen it. We've seen the reason why teams come back in the fourth quarter in so many games in like 2-3 minute offenses is because defenses usually go to a zone. They back up. They don't throw anything over my head. I'm going to keep everything in front of me. But what that means is that things get more and more frayed. Things get more and more fractured. And so that route where the linebacker was sitting on it all game, he backs up a little bit more. Now that underneath throw is wide open. We guard the sideline, but guess what? Right inside the sideline, 15, 20-yard route, got you. Drag routes, going across the field, that's open. And all of a sudden you say, this offense hasn't moved the ball all game. Why in the last 2 minutes are they just walking the ball down the field? It's because the defense changes, and it's very frustrating. And I see it almost every week in football, and I'm like, what you've been doing all game has been perfect. You are winning the game. Obviously, the defense is beating the offense. Why would you at the last second just say, nah, I'm going to a zone. That's smart. It's fine. But teams go to the zones a lot in the league now because they don't feel they have the cover ability. And if BJ ascends to what he could be, he's already 6'3", which is like a blessing already, right? You can't teach height. If he can add a little bit more technique to that already big frame and tenacity and man-to-man coverage, there's no reason he couldn't be a nickel corner. At the very least, he'll be a special teams player and maybe impact player. But if he can really ascend with that frame, then we really may have a diamond in the rough that was an undrafted free agent. So the idea that you could have your cornerback 3 or 4 be a guy that literally wasn't drafted, I don't know. I think it's worth taking a flyer on. And yes, I might be a little biased from UCF, but I'm not Destin Adams. I wasn't there. This is what he said. And I do think there's something there. We did bring him in for a pre-draft visit, so I think the team kind of agrees with me. Now, finally, we got to break down Jaylen Ramsey's situation. We got more reports out today saying, hey, trade market's looking a little dry. Teams are asking Miami to pay a little bit more. Basically, they're in a situation of, we know you want to dump him. He wants to get dumped. Why would we commit to anything of value? Why would we even commit to taking on more money? Why would we commit to draft picks? You got to get rid of him, so we're gonna wait you out. That's basically what we're doing right now. And my question is, did the Dolphins fumble this situation? Because like most of y'all, I had no idea this was going to come up. I'm sitting here talking about, we team up Jaylen with Will Johnson or Jahdae Barron. Y'all saw the episodes. I was like, man, you put both of them together. He can teach them how to be more like him. You got 2 dynamic corners. We could take over the world. That's what I was saying. All along, they back here setting up trade situations. And my question is, did we fumble it? Because once you go public with the trade request, unless you're like a Myles Garrett situation where clearly you just want money, Myles Garrett wasn't trying to get traded. He was like, yo, cut me the check. And guess what? He got a check immediately. Max Crosby, I don't know how I'm feeling in Vegas. Check. So if you're doing it to get a check, totally cool. Maybe not totally cool. Understandable. Let's say that. But Jaylen just got extended. So we knew it wasn't a check situation. He obviously just didn't believe in where the team was going. Maybe there's a city in mind that he wanted to go to in particular. Who knows? But we've all seen back channel deals be made, right? We all know. They said that trade that the Jaguars made with Cleveland, that trade was done a month ago. They already knew this was going down. You don't just come out and say, hey, we're thinking about trading up from 5 to 2. Cleveland's going to hold you upside down by your ankles to be like, we want all the picks. The minute you came out and said, hey, he wants to get traded, we want to trade him, but you didn't have like a trade partner locked in, you didn't have a deal already in place, you just destroyed any like leverage you had. How could you have leverage? Like, what are you going to do, bring him back to the team after he said he doesn't want to play for you and you said you don't want him to play for you? Now he has to play next year. Like, it doesn't really make sense like why it would come out this way. Because I didn't see any leaking. I didn't hear any reports. And again, I report on this. I'm doing research every week. There wasn't even an inkling of this before it finally dropped. So I don't understand why it went out the way it did, unless we thought there was a deal agreed to, came out of the bag saying all what we said, and then that deal got rescinded. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. If you're talking like, oh, we got a deal in place, we'll figure it out, and you already know the team that's going to trade, you already know we're getting a 4th round pick and a 6th round next year. That's the best we can do. We got to take on $15 million. If you knew that already and you just kind of wanted to like do headline kind of stuff, fine. If you jumped out the window with no parachute, I don't know what that is. Why would you do that? Why would you jump out the window with no trade? Because now I'm hearing like Atlanta's looking at him, Raiders looking at him, Rams looking at him, but nobody's really moving. They're all kind of like, and it's looking more and more likely that we got to eat this $24 million dead cap. And again, that's brutal in the short term. We already have cap issues now. Long term, we don't have to pay the rest of his salary, which is cool. But we're always kind of looking year to year because until we start building the foundation of this team, we can't really look at like 5 years from now. So from a year to year perspective, that's a bad situation because we need cap money. If we do indeed need to rebuild, that's cutting directly into the rebuild. So I think we almost certainly fumbled. I don't understand this. I thought there was a deal in principle. I thought draft day, something was going down. Maybe this is a June 1st designation situation where after June 1st we make the trade. But everything I'm hearing right now is we don't have an imminent trade, and teams are a little bit like, we're going to wait you out until you bleed a little bit more. And I don't like that because that means we're probably getting way less back in value, and we're going to take on way more salary, dead cap. Just overall, not a great situation. But as always, guys, thank you for tuning in to Dolphins Daily. Again, you guys helped us get all the way to episode 100. Can't believe we got this far already. We appreciate the likes and subscribes and all the reshares. Thank you for your time. We'll see you next time on Dolphins Daily. Peace.